pitted us against one another, or gave the impression that he did so by boasting about swearing at Wolf's mother while he was still alive. Because of how much he loved his mother, we wouldn't be. Speaking of Diddy, today's topic is Anthony Wolf Jones, who was envious of Diddy and Meech's relationship and died, I believe, a month before Justin was born. When Keefe D began working with the government to avoid a life sentence, he didn't only give them pox murder, he started naming names tied. Rest in peace, Wolf. He was slain by that circumstance for a female, but it was really jealousy. To Diddy, and one of those names was Diddy's bodyguard, Anthony Wolf Jones. However, Wolf did more than just protect Diddy. He also took care of everything behind the scenes, whether it was legal or criminal. But according to Keefe Wolf's, here's where it becomes personal. Loyalty came at a price, and that price cost him his life. According to several insiders, Wolf was not only Diddy's enforcer, but also purportedly Justin Combs' biological father. The version of events that we have been given is that Wolf died in a gunfight in Atlanta in 2003, after fighting with a member of Lil Meech's group over a lady, although the specifics of the incident are unclear, and witnesses claim that Diddy was present. Arranged the entire situation to set Wolf up before this occurred. Wolf had previously cut ties with Diddy and desired to launch his own company, but the problem was that Diddy owed Wolf money, and he continued to put off paying him back. Furthermore, Key claims that Wolf's death was a setup on rather than an accident. Therefore, the question is, what was Wolf planning to do? Was he going to go public? Did Wolf know that Justin was his son? Let's dissect this. When I look at Justin, Christian, Chance, Delilah, and Jesse James, I think he's the oddball. I get that they had different mothers, but I'm thinking, I don't know about that one you don't see. Before we discuss how Wolf died, you must first comprehend who he truly was and how his allegiance to Diddy makes what transpired even more suspect Anthony. Instead of being a hired muscle, Wolf Jones had been Wolf was the one absorbing the heat when things became heated. One of the most notorious instances was the Club New York in 1999, where Diddy and J-Lo were partying, as you are all aware. Wolf had been moving with Diddy since the early 1990s. When the fire broke out that night, Shine, Diddy was charged with bribery and possession of firearms, but Wolf made sure the cleanup was done before the police arrived. He allegedly managed to get witnesses to leave, which helped Diddy avoid going to jail. Thank you to everyone who gave me notes and prayers while Shine was in New York, and to everyone who prayed for me from all over the world. Your support is invaluable to me as I walk the streets of New York, just telling me to keep going and that I'm really thankful for today and my entire family. I'm feeling very emotional right now, like I'm at a complete loss. I feel really fortunate, and I'm just feeling I only want to express my gratitude. What about Shine, Mr. Combs? I'm simply appreciative. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, sir. What matters here is that Wolf had power because he knew, possibly literally, where the dead were buried. And Wolf was devoted to Diddy for years until realizing that loyalty was one way and that Diddy had no plans to repay him. This realization motivated him to change his ways when Wolf was found not guilty in the Club New York. He intended to establish his own reputation as an entrepreneur, but in the background, Diddy was becoming suspicious that Wolf wouldn't keep quiet, particularly on specific financial relationships involving BMF. On top of all, Diddy owed Wolf about $300,000, and each time Wolf requested it back, Diddy stalled. What most people are unaware of is that before BMF ever supported Diddy, Wolf and two of his buddies were the ones who contributed actual funds. He did this shortly after Diddy was fired from Uptown Records and was rushing to start Bad Boy. At the time, Wolf and his team were operating a profitable party promotion business, but the public claims it was actually a front for illicit drug trafficking. In any case, they were wealthy and reportedly contributed $300,000 to help Diddy launch Bad Boy. A few years later, following the incident at Club New York, Wolf informed Diddy that he needed that bread bad to finance his own company and eventually go it alone. But Diddy began avoiding him with delays, excuses, and false promises instead of paying him. Without that money, Wolf's plan collapsed, and that was the tipping point. In late 2002, less than a year before he was assassinated, Wolf finally learned after years of loyalty and silence that Diddy never planned to repay him financially or emotionally. From that moment on, their relationship was never the same. Things quickly heated up after Wolf confronted Diddy in his office and demanded his money. According to Gene Deal, Diddy didn't simply brush him off. Instead, he told Wolf bluntly that he didn't need him anymore because BMF was now on his side. I heard Wolf say in the office, "No, 1,000 man. When I first started messing with you, bro, I had 300,000. That was the moment the power dynamic switched, and Wolf realized he had been formally driven out. You understand, and I just want my money, so I'm going to stop," Puff stated. "Yo, I'm gonna get your money and give it to you when I do this universal deal or something like that." "I'll get your money," he said. And he said, "I'm gonna stop with you when I get your money." To which Wolf replied, "You're going to be with me forever." And they start like wrestling Wolf, start roughing them over in the office. I was laughing, I was outside laughing. I said, "Man, close the door." After they shut the door, it stated, "Yo, Wolf, you gotta talk to that for me because Paul trying to cut my days and I got the contract for Friday, Saturdays, and Sunday." His Wolf told me, "Hey man, I'm not speaking for no one and to no one until he receives my money." That's exactly what he said. Wolf was assassinated by someone intimately connected to BMF less than a year after that office altercation. On November 11, 2003, Wolf and Lamont Gertie, a well-known BMF affiliate, got into a fight outside of Club Chaos in Atlanta. According to the official account, it began because a woman was fired, and both men died. Big Meech was also present. Meech was shot in the buttocks and later jailed on 2 homicide counts related to the incident, but the time, the players involved, and the relationship between Diddy, Wolf, and BMF, none of them. Several insiders have said that the tale about Wolf and Lamont fighting over a lady was false, and that Diddy actually contacted BMF to help him get rid of Wolf because he had become into a liability. It felt like a coincidence, was retaliating and attempting to obtain what he believed was rightfully his, while others claim he was threatening to go public with something more significant. In any case, the gunfight didn't feel random, and Wolf ultimately became just another name on the lengthy number of people Diddy used and dumped, and to make it worse. Gene Deal later alleged that after Wolf's death, Diddy humiliated Wolf's own mother and still refused to pay back the money he owed him. Even in debt, let's reminisce. When you told Wolf's mother soon after he died that you didn't owe him no $300,000 and he had delusions of grand and all he wanted to do was smoke. Weedlets even go deeper than that, bro. Let's recollect. How you had people on the security team and rec find people to testify against Sean, you a rat, you man, I ain't going to even put you in the core as a rat dog, you worse than what your father was. Now here's where the story gets even more. Convoluted rumors have been flying around for years that Wolf was Justin Combs' biological father, and that both Diddy and Misa agreed to keep Wolf in the dark. Justin is Diddy's eldest son, and technically Diddy is his father, but some industry insiders have alleged that Wolf actually fathered Justin amid a messy love triangle including Diddy's ex, Misa Hilton. Do you assume that D is truly Justin's father? I wasn't there, but I made indie windows, like damn how your son seemed like your best buddy. If he like it, I'll adore it. But here's where it gets even messier. When Wolf was in 2003, Justin was 10 years old, and Diddy supposedly still wasn't involved in his life at that point. According to a 2006 Today article, Misa even tried to receive child support from Diddy, but he appealed in court and refused to pay for Justin, so it's not clear precisely when Justin started living with Diddy. But sources indicate that Diddy wasn't involved while Wolf was alive, and then additionally, Justin looks nothing like Diddy. In fact, he is exactly like Wolf. And when you contrast Justin with Diddy's other 4 biological children, Christian, Chance, Justin, Jesse, and Delilah are the only one who doesn't share his characteristics. Now let's talk about Misa, who made some indications on Instagram that Diddy might not be Justin's biological father before the federal authorities pounced on him. Justin was arrested in June 2023 for a misdemeanor DUI in Los Angeles, and soon after his release, Misa attacked Diddy on her blogs, declaring that moving forward she would only protect my son. She then spoke to Diddy directly and said, "Everyone has to sit around for years and act like there isn't anything wrong with you. This is where the buck stops for me." However, at the present, Misa is once more endorsing Diddy. This could only indicate that checks are still coming in, but I'd like to know what you think about all of this. Was Wolf merely another victim of Diddy's avarice and power, or was he attempting to reveal a truth that threatened Diddy's enterprise? And do you think Justin believes that Diddy may not be his biological father? Add your thoughts here, the remarks, and I'll see you there. Upcoming video.